So, any codec moments from you, Snake?
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 4 of the CODEC Moments podcast. I'm F from Scufflegrit, joined here as hopefully always with Flash Medallion. How you doing today, sir?
Very good, thank you. How's it been?
Pretty good, pretty good. Got anything new going on?
No, not really. I'm nowhere near as smashed as I was last week, which is good. Because it was just gonna say it was pretty painful to edit. Listening to myself, I was like, oh man, I was just repeating myself and doing all those. I very tempted to start like a counter for every time I repeated myself or slurred a word, but I gave up.
It was entertaining. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. How about yourself?
Not too much. I started playing Alien Isolation. Have you tried that one?
No, I heard you talk about it. What's the scoop?
If anyone out there likes survival horror, this is by far, hands down, the greatest survival horror game I've ever played. Like, I'm a fan of Dead Space, bunch of the old ones. This has been like a whole new experience for me. I mean, if I read an article that said video games have lied to you and you're a lie when it was talking about Alien Isolation, and it was talking about like any kind of superpowers or skill that video games make you think that you have, this game just like shits them all over the floor and wipes its own ass with them. Like, you are just completely a normal person. Like, if the alien sees you, you're dead. Like, that's it. Like, there's no escaping from it. There's no trying to fight back. You're just dead, and it can hear you, it can smell you. Evil robots running around the place trying to get you. It's great. It's terrifying. It's hard. It's brilliant. That's my rant on Alien Isolation. I highly recommend it.
Sounds like a lot of me. Is it on console or is it
It
on
is.
Steam?
I actually almost got it on console first. I went into a GameStop, picked it out for PS4, I think, brought it up to the counter, and the GameStop employee was like, "Oh, I don't think you'll like this. Like, why not? You've never met me before. Why don't you think I like this? Oh, it's not like a typical like shooter survival game. I think you'll really like this game called Evil Within a lot more." It's like, I came in specifically for Alien Isolation. There's a new movie coming out. I'm diving into the series. He's like, okay, man, but I really, really, really recommend not getting it. And I got so fed up at that point, I said, you know what? Fuck it. And I just like tossed the thing onto the counter, started walking out the door. He's like, are you going to buy anything? It's like, no, I'm not. Fuck you. Bye.
Man. Why it took, I don't get the people, like, we don't have like game stores here, so it's less of a big deal, but yeah, like, oh man, you're gonna hate it. Imagine if you did that to someone who went in to buy a record or a DVD. Like, oh really? Inglorious Bastards? No, I don't think you're gonna like it. You probably like Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 a lot better. It's got a lot of comedy scenes in it. Wouldn't you just punch someone in the head who tried to do that to you when you were buying a DVD or an album?
Right? Like, I got so frustrated, like, after the guy told me, like, 3 times not to buy the product at his store. So I was like, you know what? Okay, fine then. I won't buy something from you. Then, like, 2 or 3 weeks later, it popped up on sale on Steam for, I think I got it for, like, $5 or something. So glad I waited. But yeah, it's
nice work. I was going to say, how's the job hunt going? Hello.
Another couple of content creation jobs, like either social media or creative strategy, stuff like that. Someone I can be creative with marketing. And I'll see all these job postings where it's like creative representative, and then all the posting says, basically just stuff like writing and copywriting and yada, yada, yada. And then you go in there and it's friggin' door-to-door sales.
Right. Yeah, they can just take a steaming walk, can't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever, but I've got a couple leads going on. I've got a thing in at Disney. My best friend works in their corporate office, and they've got a social media job open, so I'm kind of hoping that pans out, but we'll see. I'm optimistic.
Right on. Don't forget to mention that you're our Metal Gear Solid's official media team.
All one of me. But yeah, it's I need every stupid little thing I can get on my resume.
Oh, no,
I mean, I haven't
absolutely.
done too much.
I get that. Speaking of which, have you done anything with the Twitter account? Have you logged in? Because I always forget to look at it.
I was going to ask you about that. I read some more up on my my social media class. I still have like all the stuff saved from it. I went through all the Twitter stuff. So yeah, if you guys are still open to it, I'm to get going with it.
Did you get given the password? Because that's really the way to go. Should I tell you the password while we're talking, and then we'll podcast it? One.
Yeah,
two.
the password would definitely help.
Okay, I'll message that to you privately, and you can get cracking and do whatever you like. So yeah, I know a lot of people followed it after we kind of created a Twitter account when we were all up over at E3 in case we decided that's the best way to report it. It was a good idea. We ended up not using it, but if we had have decided it was the best way to go, it was a really good idea that Killer's set up. There's another funny story about that actually. Twitter. Oh yeah, when we were on the second day, David Hayter tweeted something about, I'm at E3, catch me if you can, and I spent like a full 40 seconds going, let's find David Hayter, and I ran around and like asked one person if they'd seen David Hayter, the Konamis were like, who? And then I went back to the pub and then just kind of kept going. Oh no, I was badgering my friend into trying to tweet him. And he's like, oh, yo, come catch us at the Konami
Oh, why
bar.
didn't you?
Oh, we did. We sent him a tweet. Although he had to download Twitter and then register an account and set it up just because I couldn't remember my shit. And he's like, yo, come drink with us. Oh, come to Konami bar, drinks on us, I think is what he said. But it didn't happen and then swiftly forgot about it. But that was an exciting minute.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, did you see any other like voice actors or anything around there?
I wasn't looking out for it. But someone said, hey, David Hayter's here. So I got to spend a good, 60 seconds going, fanboy, and then we just carried on drinking.
And then there was alcohol.
Yep, that's my story. So let's have a look at our top links of the week.
Yep, carry it on.
Okay, top one sitting at 166 is, I'm surprised it took someone so long to make this gag, but another Ground Zeroes 100% post with a piece of paper on the TV saying 100%, which is perfect. I know a lot of people kind of seem to roll their eyes when people make Ground Zeroes posts, but I upvote every single one of them. It's like, go you. I think that's cool. And they seem to get a lot of support every time. And it's not about, hey, this is worthwhile content, but it's like, hey, you're a Metal Gear fan and you're 100% of the game. So
and it's not an easy task either. I mean, 100% on Ground Zeroes isn't just because it's short does not mean that it's, a super easy thing to do either.
It's not a walk in the park. I guess I'm a little skewed because I've gone and done all my platinums on just about all the games. You don't need a huge amount of skills, but I suppose S ranking, say the Intel Agent Rescue, getting that no kills on hard, it'll take you a nice hour of replaying it just to get your skills up to scratch before you do it.
That was definitely my biggest challenge was the Intel Rescue. I mean, just to get the headshots, I mean, it was just Do
you need headshots? I don't think you need headshots on that. Using the stun pistol out of the helicopter.
Oh, right on. Yeah. It's been a minute. Yeah, it wasn't headshots. It was, I think it was the Jeeps that threw me off, like towards the end.
Yes. Yep. There's 3 Jeeps and there's a guy in a truck and you've got to pop him through the windshield, don't you?
Yeah, it was a royal pain in the ass for me.
Yeah, it really was. The one that got me, and I did about, I'm going to say 8 or 9 replays. I thought that if you shot a guy out of a helicopter with a stun gun, with that Uragan rubber bullet thing, I thought if he fell too far, he would die and it would count as a kill. Because I'd done the mission once and I ended up with 1 kill and I couldn't work out how I did it. And I thought that I'd shot a guy out of the helicopter, with a rocket launcher.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd been trying to shoot him out while the helicopter was flying over a building. I thought that was what you're supposed to do. So he only falls 2 meters and doesn't die.
Oh, good Lord.
So I spent 9 goes trying to shoot this guy out at with this 0.25 of a second window with which to hit him, and kept restarting the mission until I went fuck it and just shot him out and then got no kills and just I'm glad no one was watching, put it that way.
I'm sure.
And of course, Jamais Vu S rank hard. I know turns into a problem for a lot of people.
Yeah, that one I had the most fun with that one. I think actually it was really fun,
totally.
Running around super speed and fucking taking everyone out.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun, and I like how it's just such a classic Kojima thing to do. The Raiden mission, the Revengeance cameo mission requires some really shit hot action skills. It's a great way to showcase the combat, is to require you to have, put some enemies in who don't count as kills that need headshots to go down and then make you kill them without getting spotted. in the middle of a firefight. That's brilliant.
It's actually my favorite mission to go back and just like dick around on. Like if I'm not doing, like a specific run or trying to get S rank or trying to get leaderboard or something, if I just want to go in and play some Metal Gear and just kill some people with some guns, I always go back to the jamais vu, or however the hell you pronounce that.
Yeah, if I'm going to sneak, I tend to go to Deja Vu, and then if I'm going to want to kill some dudes, I'll do jamais vu. It's really cool, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of hoping MGO turns out a little bit like that. Like it's just the the combat that you get out of it. It feels a lot more faster paced, I guess, than a lot of the other missions. So if I'm just doing like a quick run and, like you said, just run around and kill people, I mean the super fast running is super cool, and then the headshots, and they don't really count as kills, and yada yada yada.
And the scripted nature of the waves, like when you get in a firefight in a regular mission, who knows what's happening? You could have guys coming from anywhere, and so you run around a corner, and there's like a single guy who looks at you and shoots at your leg, and then runs backwards, and it kind of gets a little weird. But in Jamais Vu, you get waves, and it's like a shooting gallery. It's awesome.
Yeah, like when the helicopter comes in at the end, it's just so cinematic, and you feel like you're in the middle of an action movie.
Yeah, you really do. And then with all the aesthetics of that mission, I love the way they... Have you noticed in Ground Zeroes, in Deja Vu, maybe they do it in Jamais Vu, there's a really low cloud texture that rolls over the map.
Yeah, I have noticed that, actually.
And they changed the lighting so that the admin building looks like the heliport from metalgearsolid. Like, all they do is change the lighting colors and change the sky. Little things like that. And in Jamais Vu, looks and plays, it's blue and orange, and it's just like a hardcore action movie. It's really, really well put together for such a little throwaway kind of joke mission.
Absolutely. All right, let's see. Wow. Moving on here. Next, we've got playing this like in 1998 with 502 votes. It's got the PlayStation 1 hooked up to a Sony Trinitron CRT TV.
Nice.
Next to a lot of canned food.
Yeah, that's a lot of corn. It's a lot of corn. That's 4 cans of corn, some coconut. What else we got there? Some wheat. Shredded wheat. It looks like some tea. I can't quite make out what that is. It looks like a box of rice. And there's an old joystick, a weird joystick. I don't recognize it. I might be embarrassing myself here. It looks like an Atari stick, but
I have that actually. It's a really fun little thing. I picked one up at Walmart for like $20. It's you can see the Atari logo on it. You hook it up to your TV, and it has like 10 or 15 Atari games stored on it.
Ah, yes, nice.
Yeah, it's a fun little thing.
That's a cool way to go. Because the design looked like the old. My parents used to have an Atari, like the Atari. This is before I was born, but I've seen photos. Apparently, their idea of a big night was like everyone would come over and get drunk and play Pong. So hey, the 70s, everybody. But yep, so we've got a good old nostalgia photo here.
Yeah, it's where it all began for most of us, or a lot of us.
Probably on a little shitty CRT as well. Third post in, I can't say I'm surprised. You are listening to Not Your Kind of People. Customers who bought the song also bought Nuclear by Mike Oldfield. Here's to You, featuring Joan Baez by Ennio Morricone, and Elegia by New Order. Well, I can't say I'm surprised.
This next one was, first off, all right, it's I hereby award you the title of Big Baby, a true infant, 459 votes. First off, why is there stock photos of a baby holding a gun?
That question goes very deep into the stock photo industry, so I'm not sure I can answer that question. I don't know what's going on here. The baby's crying, and it's a stock photo of a baby holding a gun who looks like he's like just made a mistake. Like he looks like he's done something he instantly regretted.
He looks so regretful. He has clearly just done something so traumatic that will carry through with him for the rest of his life.
Yeah, well, so I guess I can see the connection there. Under that, we've got a big post by Verdi. Hi, Verdi, talking about Rika Muranaka's comments on Konami. I'm going to skip over that, I think, if you don't mind. We've kind of covered that subject before, really.
We have. Good post, but yeah.
Yeah. And then we're kind of just going down to some fan art. Actually, I quite like that fan art. It's different. The one of Big Boss lying on the bed.
Yeah, I've actually never been more blown away by fan art than this one. Actually, it's really trippy, but it's got like a lot of symbolism. I mean, it's got holding out his arm and assistance, and this is great.
Yeah, it's a really nicely assembled piece too. Yeah, it's got a lot of interpretation in it as well, and it's a different style than you normally see. I like how they've got an actual whale eating the helicopter instead of a fire whale. You've got Mantis with that ray, those rays coming out of him, like a focal point essentially, which is an interesting statement to make in a little artistic piece like that. It's basically everything surrounding Big Boss is radiating out of Mantis, which is a super cool idea.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, your eyes are naturally drawn to right to Mantis, and that's where Big Boss's vision appears to be looking as well.
Right to the center of his head, and yeah, everything else is emanating from him. It's a very cool little piece. And they've even got the broken rocks and stuff coming up in the top there, which I guess is reminiscent of that bridge shattering. Yeah, it's a really neat piece.
Yeah, very well done. My Solid Snake 89.
Oh, yeah, so you made that, inspired from the trailer. Yeah, very good, My Solid Snake 89. Well done. And now we've got waiting for Chris to finish Metal Gear Solid, which is funny because my name's Chris, so my wife's been giving me shit about this forever.
Oh, I'm sure. How's she gonna handle Phantom Pain?
She doesn't know how. Well, she does know how, but she knows I'm taking work off. She doesn't know that I'm gonna ask if she wants to take the day off and watch me play it. That's a joke, but if she says yes, well, she can hang out and watch me play it. I don't know who would want to do that. I'm just gonna draw all the curtains and just smell bad and eat calorie mates and play Metal Gear Solid for 108 hours in a row.
I actually lucked out with my best friend. Actually, really likes watching video games, and so for Metal Gear Solid, we just popped some popcorn, plopped down on the couch, and then we were just silent for the next 4 hours while we watched.
Oh, sweet! Can't complain about that.
Yeah, right on.
I'm not much of a watcher, eh? I don't watch Let's Plays or any of that stuff. I do not see the appeal in watching other people. Well, not for its own merits. I like watching, say, Perfect Stealth or speedruns or things that I have done 100 times to see how someone else does them. But not like, oh, I haven't played Metal Gear Solid 4. I think I'll watch someone else play it. That'll do the trick. Really?
Yeah, I can't bring myself to do it, and I'm just bored to death too. I'll watch, like you said, Perfect Stealth and stuff. That stuff is entertaining to me because it's something special, like speed runs or someone really good at it. But if it's just just gameplay or a stream or something, I'm like, why am I putting myself through this?
Yeah. That said, I quite like sometimes, and if I was hanging out with gamers, you throw on something like Grand Theft Auto. That's a pass the controller, play until you die. And I mean, that's bordering on performance art. We've had some great nights of people getting up to some fucked up shit just for the sake of entertaining everybody.
For sure.
So that stuff's all right, but no, I'm not going to fire up YouTube and watch somebody else play a game for me. And hey, lots of people do. I'm not trying to knock it. And as I've had this discussion with many other friends who are grumpy old men like me, there's a South Park episode that absolutely nailed that on the head, and there's nothing else to be said about it. And
speaking of the subreddit, I mentioned this online that I wanted to ask you this last week and then forgot. And so, folks, if you're in the line chat, you probably already know where this is going. I've had a couple of people ask me where my name comes from. I've been curious about where your username comes from. So off you go.
I'm going first, am I? My username comes from, and I'll play the line when we edit this in. There's a Cherry Pop and Daddy song. They do a cover of Come Back to Me, which is from an old Broadway show called On a Clear Day You Can See Forever. I think that's what it's called. And I'm quite a fan of the Cherry Pop and Daddies, actually. I think they're very, very funny. They've got some pretty cool music. And this one song just opens up with a quick drum roll. It's at the start of the album. And then this line is spoken, which I'm about to play.
Go, Flash! That's Flash Medallion on drums.
And then the name Flash Medallion always stuck with me. I don't know why. And then I was sitting down, I just bought my PS3 and I realized I needed a username. And I'd always kind of been bouncing around usernames over the last few years on MSN or other services. I thought, sure, I need a name that's going to stick with me for the next few years, and that's what I landed on, is Flash Medallion.
I always thought it was like a video game thing, and then when you told me that, I was like, oh shit! And then I listened to the song after you sent me the link, and it was actually really, really good.
Yeah, and I guess I like the idea, like the name Flash Medallion is inherently silly. It's a pretty stupid name, really, but it kind of, I guess, sums up my sense of humor a little bit. Like, if you could imagine what kind of person would go around introducing themselves by the name Flash Medallion, like, that's the kind of joke that I think is funny. I'll post a picture, if I can find it, of my GTA Online character wearing our clan Diamond Dog shirt with the car with the Diamond Dogs logo on the front back when it came out. And you will see what Flash Medallion looks like in my head, and then you might help get the joke.
Right on. Bopsy Bops actually, I guess it's Bopperson now, had a theory on where my name, Ephraim Scufflegrit, came from. He thought it was like F as in fuck, like the F word, then rum as like the alcohol. And then scuffle was fight, and then grit was like toughness, so it was like fuck alcohol, fight toughness, which when you told me that, I was like, well, shit, that's actually really good compared to like
that's the reason now.
That yeah, that's what I've been telling everybody now, that I'm just a tough guy. But
well,
me and my buddy, me and my friend actually always found the name Ephraim absolutely hilarious, just the weirdest name. Like, I remember, like, we grew up together, and I can't remember what historical figure was named Ephraim something. But I remember being like 9 years old or something. We were sitting in class, and then he was reading out loud, and he stopped, and then he said the name Ephraim, and I started laughing, and then so we always, had that running joke. And then we were watching Family Guy.
Okay, we've narrowed it down to two possible names. All in favor of Bugs Bunny? And all in favor of Ephraim the Retarded Rabbit? Oh, you can all go to hell.
There was Ephraim the Retarded Rabbit. We saw that episode like the day before I made my Reddit username. And then Scufflegrit was a road near my parents' house, Scufflegrit Road. And then so I thought just the most absolutely retarded, funny sounding name to me was Ephraim. And then that was that. Definitely not fuck alcohol, fight toughness.
Right. How there you go. I mean, I bet there's an interesting story behind 90% of the usernames. So if I go to Urban Dictionary, Ephraim is a characteristic normal person who has lapses of jocular craziness. As in, Phil just smacked that guy's head off for no reason. He pulled an Ephraim. Submitted by Ephraim, October 23, 2006.
You know what? I'm going to roll with that. That sounds completely accurate. That's me, all right. Yeah, guys, if you have an interesting story behind your username, by all means, let us know in the comments here.
Yeah, you just beat me to it. It'd be fun to kind of run through a whole lot of those. Like, I wonder where Perfect Stealth got his name from.
I've actually always wondered about Avirdes, if that's how, or Avirdi, or however you pronounce that.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Yeah, wonder. And it's got a 1, 2, 3 after it, so clearly the first Avirdi was taken. But there are some great stories, especially like Waylander's name. I think he's explained it. He hasn't explained it on here. We'll bring him back and get him to explain his name. Yeah, it's a funny little thing, eh? Especially if it's a name you stick with. Like, after I picked Flash Medallion, I've used it on literally everything. Like, even it's like my login username on like my bank. So when I go to the teller and shit, I have to tell them that I'm called Flash Medallion. Like, it's just so easy to remember now. But it's so much better than having a generic name. Like, I remember my brother agonizing over it. He bought a PS3 and decided he needed a PSN account. I was like, what do I pick? I don't want I don't want to be Cloud Strife 360 no scope, like everybody else. It's like, I played FF14 online for like a good 6 months. I loved it, as an aside. You can't walk 5 meters without bumping into Sephiroth Cloud 100. Everybody's just called Sephiroth and Cloud. And how can you pick a name that everybody's using? I don't know.
A couple of times I'd use generic usernames in my past and stuff. When I was thinking up Ephraim Scufflegrid, I was like, all right, I need something completely unique that will never be used. And it's the same thing. I have to use it in everyday life sometimes. Like, on a couple of the jobs I've applied to, I've mentioned that like I am active on social media, and they're like, oh, well, like, what's like your pen name that you've like written anything under? I'm like, Ephraim Scufflegrid.
My rule of thumb is if you got to put a number on the end, you need to think up a better name.
Yeah, definitely.
Unless the numbers are part of it. But anyway, I'm just going to call out here because I've just seen it, and it almost gets me every time. Ku Klux Cocoa Puffs. That's a great username.
Yeah, it is.
So if you're listening, that just brightens my day every time I see it. I'm sure there's more too, but I also absolutely appreciate no real joke intended here, but I love the balls on Floral Cunt. Just hi, I'm on the internet and my name is Floral Cunt. That's really something special. So good work, Strand.
I think that one's actually my favorite username on the entire subreddit is Floral Cunt. Just not only because of the balls on it, because it's just like it's kind of ironic with like floral cunt, and it just has like such an oomph behind it. Just floral cunt.
It's nicely poetic. It rolls off the tongue, so to speak. Yeah, it's a nice combination of words. Funnily,
definitely.
So I guess that's subreddit rundown, and
it looks like we got the codec going off again there, Flash.
Oh, yep, I'm hearing that. Who we got? Hello.
Let's see. Who's there today?
Hey, what's going on, you guys?
Hey, Ralph, how you doing?
Hey, good. How you guys doing?
Very good, thank you. What's been new?
Good. Just pumping out those MGS videos, man. All my time's going. Yeah.
They're coming out pretty rapidly. So, what's the process there? Well, might as well get stuck in. You got a whole lot of footage, and you're just going through it now, pumping it all out.
Yeah. I gotta go back, edit it all. Like it's all pre-recorded already. I just gotta go back and edit it, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Put them on YouTube, schedule them, and get them ready for you guys. Hope you guys are enjoying them, by the way.
Yeah, totally. Right on.
Right.
If you guys haven't checked out Perfect Stealth's YouTube channel, it's awesome. He's got all kinds of gameplay and speed runs and all kinds of fun stuff.
Love YouTube.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Perfect Stealth is a good regular on the subreddit, and probably biggest claim to fame is you've done quite a lot of good speed running, picked up by Konami on that front as one of your videos as well, weren't you?
Yeah. Konami finally supporting me now on Twitter if you guys have seen it, if you guys follow me on there. But yeah, I do speed runs. I've dabbled in like commentary walkthroughs for MGS3 and Peace Walker. So yeah, if you guys want to check out my YouTube, go right ahead. Thank you, if you do.
Yeah, we'll obviously chuck a link in under the video as well.
Yeah,
so I guess, how did that all come about for you? How long have you been doing it? What made you start doing Metal Gear Solid content?
Yeah, so YouTube, I would have to say I've been doing it for 7 years now. Speedrunning, I've been doing it maybe a little while after MGS2 came out, actually. I saw this video that they put out only in Japan that was part of a DVD/artbook compilation called Metalworks the Perfect. And it was like basically a guide that would show you layouts of the maps and stuff and where you could find each item on easy, hard, whatever. And
oh, wow.
Yeah. The DVD that came with it though was what like sold it. Like there was this was before YouTube, so I would have to go on with my like shitty modem, back in the day, and watch parts of this DVD split up, on this. I don't even remember what website it was, but just the way these people were playing blew my mind. You know what I mean? And I wanted to get in on that, so I would like study the footage, all in Japanese, of course. They would go frame by frame, show what they were doing, and I would just practice, and that's where it sort of started. So actually, like the game that I play the least, MGS2, is the one I'm maybe most familiar with, just from reviewing those videos so many times.
Right.
If you guys want to check that out, I have the whole thing uploaded now on YouTube, like the whole.
Yeah. I thought that rang a bell. Yeah. I watched it on your channel before. Yeah.
Yeah. That blew my mind, honestly, the first time I saw it.
There's some pretty crazy stuff, eh?
Yeah, definitely.
And your speedrunning videos are like really impressive too. I mean, the only real experience I have with even trying to speedrun is Ground Zeroes.
Yeah.
And it's actually like really interesting. It wasn't really kind of the experience I was expecting. It's almost like it's a whole new game because I mean you're pretty much running throughout the whole thing, and it just takes so much level of detail to figure out where the guards are going to be, where the items are, how fast you have to run, and yada yada yada.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a whole different game. Like you put it very well. Most people think it's like exploiting the AI, and yeah, it's partly that, but you also have to know the littlest things that you would never think about. Like what happens if you shoot a silenced bullet at the wall at precisely this angle behind this guard? You know what I mean? Like you have to take every variable into account to optimize your time. I'm not too crazy into doing that. Like I'm not like a top level MGS speedrunner. I like playing using more advanced tactics, but I'm not concerned with world records or anything really. I just like pushing the game to its limits, you know.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Like in the combat unit, if anyone's familiar, we used to run. There's a few competitions for faster time, and I had some cracks at a couple of them on ground zeros. And I love that mindset. You know, you sit down for a couple of hours and you do it over and over again, and you polish and you refine and you find new routes and you kind of poke at the corners a bit. And I think, as I was saying before, I've been playing a lot of Drive Club. It's very similar to doing a time trial.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Perfect that corner, perfect that straight. How do I chain these two things together? And speedrunning something like Ground Zeroes to me is a really similar experience. So
Ground Zeroes is like very good for people wanting to start off speedrunning because it's very short. It's like a small taste, you know what I mean, of speedrunning. Like a run takes you no longer than 6-7 minutes if you do it like well.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's not like an hour and a half like the actual like MGS 1, 2, 3. You know, it's very good if you want to get like a small taste of speedrunning.
Yeah, but that sustained perfection, is the other side of that coin.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people will be doing that with Phantom Pain too. I mean, we're still going to get allegedly, some small mission areas and stuff to be able to. I mean, we'll have God knows how many missions to perfect and memorize. But the real kind of wrench in the system with speedrunning with Phantom Pain that I kind of foresee is that the guards, learn from your tactics. And stuff.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I've been discussing that a couple months back with some of the people on the subreddit. There was a topic on that, and I have no idea how it actually works. Nobody really knows how it actually works. You know what I mean? It's still possible. Like you just have to be really, really good and be able to adapt yourself, or just memorize like the level of adaptation. You know what I mean? Like
that's what I was about to say too. Yeah, like more memorizing the actual map than the cards.
There's often constraints. Say a no kills speedrun. So when you've got two people doing hey, I'm doing an Act 2 Mission 5 speedrun, while one person's guards have helmets, and someone might beat that time with their guards don't have helmets.
Yeah.
There's a kind of a weird who did it better
scenario
going on there. I don't know how competitive it gets, but that's the first thing that comes to mind for me.
No, yeah, that's very true. That could be a possible factor. How do you say like this guy had a sandstorm during his episode 2, 5th level? He had a sandstorm in his run that messed up his whole run, which he could have possibly done faster than this person. Yeah, it's pretty crazy with the dynamic weather and all that.
It seems such a strange thing that it's dynamic. I mean, that makes a great gameplay, but they also seem like they've really taken a look at that speedrunning, that challenge community with the way the mission scores are set out.
Yeah.
They've got leaderboards for everything. They've got, I forget the name of it. No evidence. It's got a name.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about, but I forgot the name as well.
It was like No Traces.
No Traces.
That's No Traces.
I made a point of memorizing it before, and now I've forgotten again. Yeah. So again, it's almost a separate leaderboard if you're uploading videos and say, well, here's my speed run of a no trace run.
Yeah.
It seems like there could be a lot of depth to that kind of community competition.
Yeah, even in GZ we had like the no weapon, we had like magazine only, we had, you know what I mean? Like just from that small game we had so many different types of speedruns, and that all have leaderboards, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's cool to see them support that.
Sure, the no traces thing really intrigues me because that's something that's always been, I kind of notice stuff that's not super realistic in some of the games. Not that I complain about them, I just noticed them. But play through some of the Metal Gear Solid games and you have like a trail of sleeping guards behind.
Yeah.
And you still no one was aware of your presence. I'm kind of wondering if that's what the no traces thing could be. Like no guards left unconscious, or like that you choked out, or exploded barrels and what have you.
Yeah, I think I think it'll be kind of that no weapons condition on hard as a trial. Yeah. Seems like it'll be a prototype to that. So essentially that's no bullet cases, nothing that you brought with you is left behind, and no interaction with guards. I remember we had a ghost run combat unit challenge for Ground Zeroes, which excited me. I really pushed through that until I just hit a wall. I could not get Pars back to the cave without interacting with someone. I just couldn't find a way to do it.
Yeah, I don't know about the Phantom Pain, but GZ was not made to be ghosted. I don't think. You have to interact, even if it's just with a magazine, you know what I mean? You have to take the patrols off of their routes in certain areas, and the only way to do that is either by holding them up, tranquilizing them, or using a magazine or something, But maybe it's different in TPP.
Well, I guess even in TPP you've got the knock function.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not throwing anything, you can just make a noise, and that might really account for that. But I was happy with most of GZ. I was able to do everything without picking any locks, not counting cutscenes. Chico's cage and Paz's cage. And there's some dicey moments, baiting enemies into going through the door. Like when you go to rescue Chico, the other prisoners make some noise, and if you get it right, the guard will run in to investigate, and you can sneak out the camp, out the prison behind him. Things like that. But yeah, by the end of it, I wonder if it would be different if I did the rescues in different orders, but I was just at a brick wall. There was no way past. The guards weren't moving.
Yeah,
and that was the end of that.
That's the thing. Yeah, in GZ you have to distract them in some way, shape, or form.
Which is an interesting development, really.
Yeah.
What was of all the games in the series? What do you think is like the hardest to do a perfect stealth run on, or like a speed run on?
Definitely 2. No question for me, at least. Because
really?
Yeah, on the hardest difficulty, you guys are talking about like highest rank 2, or just not being caught? Because then I might.
We'll go with not being caught, because I think if you're looking at big boss ranks, the conditions vary quite a bit, don't they? Metal Gear Solid 2 has that really low save cap, which requires a lot of sustained perfection, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If we're talking highest emblem, then by far MGS2. That might be my answer for your question as well, though, to be honest. I've never been the best at MGS2. Unfortunately, I love that game, but that's why I don't play it the most. It's the hardest for me. It's claustrophobic, you know what I mean? I can't. That's why I like MGS3 and I like MGS4. Because I have room to move around, and
Just thinking, as you said, that claustrophobic. I think that's why I enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's still got that puzzle element to it that Metal Gear Solid 1 does, where the guards are really more of a puzzle and they are more of an open solution. It's watching movement, getting timing right, and just slipping through that gap. And Metal Gear Solid 2 kind of keeps that a little bit. Might be why I still like it. But It's an interesting point.
Yeah.
I actually kind of miss like the little bases and stuff from some of the older games. It hasn't been since Metal Gear Solid 2 that we've seen, like one set location with a series of rooms and stuff. And I hope we do get a little bit of that out of Phantom Pain. I'm not expecting, obviously, the whole game's obviously not going to be like that. I mean, it's open world.
Yeah, it's like some linear maps, you mean, right?
Even GZ kind of touches on that. Maybe it doesn't count, but when you get into that admin building, you kind of wind up with that puzzle scenario again, where you go down the stairs, you've got one room, you've got a very tight claustrophobic kind of junction, then you turn right and go into Paz's little cell room. And when I played that first mission with the hands-on, I noticed that once I got to my objective, there's a very tight urban area, we'll call it, where the guard patrols really seemed like a puzzle again.
Oh shit, that's cool.
So yeah, and it came out of nowhere. One minute you're on a horse riding across the desert, kind of scoping out places, and then you come towards your objective, and you can approach it from any direction you want, but which direction you come at is important, because the puzzle as it is, the guard patrols and stuff like that, affect how you want to get through it. So I think there's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm looking forward to, is like they're kind of meshing this open world design philosophy with old school MGS. It's this huge open world, but there's these concentrated points in the map that are similar to like what you're used to, you know what I mean? Like old school Metal Gear, with those puzzles, with the guard patrols, with the guard routes and everything. That's cool.
Yeah, definitely best of both worlds, eh? You get to choose, like, hey, Shadow Moses, what if I don't want to come in on the helipad? What if I want to do something else, come up the back?
Yeah.
And yeah, Phantom Pain kind of gives you that scenario, mission after mission after mission, which is exciting.
Yeah, can't wait. You're lucky you got to play it already. I'm envious.
It helped stave off the cravings.
Yeah.
It was hard to get excited. We've covered it before, but at the time I was like, how can I be the most useful at the moment? So yeah, we just started plugging away at the mechanics and seeing what I could come up with.
Yeah. And how long did you guys have to play it?
It's an hour flat, and I finished the mission in about 50 minutes and decided not to do anymore.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good amount of time just to see the difference. Did you notice the mechanically, was it that much different from GZ? Like the behind the, I don't know if you experienced it, but like the cover mechanics and all that?
Yeah, well, what's funny is I noticed that Yog mentioned it, and then it occurred to me that was the case, but it was so great that I hadn't even noticed. Like, I'd kind of gotten over it in Ground Zeroes, and it still kind of frustrates me every now and then.
Yeah.
But yeah, movement was such a non-issue, it never even jumped out at me how much improved it was. But I can think now, in hindsight, of at least 3 cases where something that in Ground Zeroes would have been a pain was just perfectly fluid. That's cool that they'd still been, even up to that point, tuning the smaller side of the mechanics. Yeah,
that's important. The small things, like, they add up after a while. I always did that awkward, like, misstep. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but that weird misstep when you try to press forward on L3 to sprint in GZ.
Yep.
And he does that weird backstep.
Like a little shuffle thing, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it screws me up so much. I did have a question for you though, Flash. Do you regret the hour that you had with Phantom Pain and all? Like, or at least leading up to it, were you afraid you're going to spoil anything or anything like that?
No, I mean, the rate at which, say, the reason we got invited is because we're all like just people in the community, so they weren't going to give us something that they didn't want the public to. I mean, that's quite a risk, right? I mean, I'm just some random guy at a keyboard on the internet. I don't have a job. I'm not paid to do this. I'm not going to get fired. I'm not going to lose any opportunities by running my mouth on something.
Yeah,
so in theory, I could have been a complete asshole about it. So I wasn't concerned on that front. I don't think they would have run that risk.
Right on.
Yeah.
You can never get it right. Like, if you guys remember our response afterwards, and it stirred up quite a bit of discussion, is how easy it was. And we're all like, well, is it because it's an early mission or not? I've heard some later reviews that suggest that's the case. So you're never going to get the whole experience. And I think that's why they're doing this boot camp thing. That's why they're giving reviewers, 4 days with the game, so they can really prove how good it is. And even a small slice of it can be misleading. Like, my game seemed quite easy, even though I died like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So no, I don't regret it. It was good. It was fun. It scratched the itch for a little bit. It's made the wait a little bit more bearable.
The boot camp thing really interests me too. I mean, they seem really, really, really confident that Phantom Pain is going to be like absolutely mind blowing. I mean, like you said, they're giving people a full 4 days with it just so they can kind of have the time to explore and get all the in-depth experiences and stuff, so they can write about it and so on and so forth. But I mean, they seem really confident with Phantom Pain.
Yeah, and that inspires confidence, makes it easier as a fan to go, well, if they're going to let the reviewers just go crazy, then we don't have to worry about some crappy business practice being hidden or whatever else is going on these days.
Yeah. You guys know they're having another one, right? In about 2 weeks? Or a week, actually.
In LA?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if this is common knowledge or not, or if I'm allowed to talk about it. Robert, who invited us to E3, has invited Kellerzite, our mod, to the boot camp. So that's just an ultra cool thing to do. So hopefully she's able to make it. And
he actually invited me as well, but I'm not able to make it. I'm super busy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, unfortunately I can't make it. It sucks.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I was almost the same when they said, "Hey, come to E3." I'm like, I can't, and then I was like, sure, I can.
Fuck it, yes, I can.
Yeah.
Do you think with the boot camp and stuff going on, obviously there's a bunch of people in the same room playing Phantom Pain. Do you think Metal Gear Online would be playable for them, or do you think that's even done at this point?
I have no clue, to be honest. I don't know what's going on with MGO. I have no clue, honestly.
That's a tough call. It doesn't seem like there's much happening on that front. Not that I think it's in trouble, but maybe launch isn't something we should expect.
Yeah, that's my advice to everybody, is don't be too surprised if it's not ready at launch, at TPP's launch, or even TPP's PC launch.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe even after that. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
I'm hoping, but I'm not expecting.
Like, I wouldn't mind the delay, really, because it means I get to sit down and play the single-player game.
Yeah, that's true.
And not have to worry about, oh, shit, I need to catch up with however the metagame develops on NGO. That's a time split that I could do without, to be honest.
I'm probably going to take at least a couple of weeks with the story before I even really give MGO like a real hard go at it, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not. It doesn't bode well that they haven't shown anything. You know what I mean? Like anything. Not any gameplay at all. And the last news we've gotten is like little tidbits on Twitter. And before that, it was the announcement trailer way back in January. And the game comes out in a month already, so it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, and the 30k subscribers is here's a picture of 2 different camouflage patterns.
Yeah, which is cool to see and everything, but I mean, like...
It's kind of cool to see, but that's not news.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like, that's not like what you guys just finished today, is it?
Yeah, just drew something up really quick.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, like I said, I wouldn't mind the delay. I mean, it's just little things, like, do we want to have to rush into the server and register a clan name before you start the game just to make sure you get the PMC name you want? All that stuff goes out the window if the launch gets delayed, so maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't mind it, to be honest, but it's just I'd like to have a little something to say, okay, MGO looks promising, MGO, I don't know if it's going to be that good this time around, just to gauge it. We haven't seen anything. But yeah, I agree. Some time with the single player is definitely needed.
Yeah, I mean, and I appreciate that they're trying to engage the community. I mean, Robert's been pretty good, and I saw a comment from him on Twitter saying, look, even though we have nothing to say, I don't want to ignore you guys. That's why we keep saying we have nothing to say. So I think that's a good approach.
Robert's awesome, yeah. Just a little side note, yeah. That whole team is really cool. Like, they're all really good people, really talented people. It's not on them. Whatever's going on is probably behind the scenes. If there's anything
I was just about to say the same thing. You can kind of read a bit of frustration between the lines about what they want to say compared to what they can say.
Yeah, exactly.
And you could spend all night going into why that might be and what's going on in Konami. And that's even probably a difficult thing. Even if there were no problems in Konami, there's still the issue that head office is, a Japanese-speaking company with a different attitude on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
And you're kind of taking orders from there. That can make life difficult as well. So I'm sure they've got a lot to deal with. It's hard not to complain, and I'm sure they're feeling the pressure, but it's understandable in its way.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say too, because I mean, we had a really long period of time with hardly anything about Phantom Pain itself either, too. After the the whole name thing first happened, I mean, we didn't see any tweets or videos or anything for good few months before. I think just leading up to E3 was when we finally got some new information. So the optimistic side of me is thinking, maybe it's like you said, the head office is in Japan, they're over here in LA. There's probably some crisscross there about what kind of marketing communications they want to do versus, what Koji Pro LA wants to say and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we'll see what happens with MGO. I just hope it does better than the last one, to be honest, because not that many
with the cheaters and stuff.
That and also the player base, because the player base after launch deteriorated rapidly, because they did not market that game. They did not market that game well at all.
Well, they didn't market it at all, did they?
No, not at all. Outside of Japan, it was people to this day don't know MGO2 existed.
And part of that was that Konami system, because everything was done through Konami.
Yeah. Oh man, that was terrible.
What a nightmare! I mean, if you loved Metal Gear Solid, you went through it.
Yeah.
I went through it twice because I got to play the beta. I got somehow, I can't remember how, queued up on some website, some obscure website, and got a code. And so I'd gone through the whole process once, so it wasn't so bad the second time. But there's a really high barrier to entry, and that's assuming you even heard about it.
Yeah, it was terrible. You would have to make a Konami ID, and then making a Konami ID would let you register a game ID, and then the game ID is what you would use to sign into the game, and that's on top of your PSN. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then once you've got your game ID, you can start making characters. It's pretty weird.
Yeah, it
reminds me a lot of the Ubi Play thing, that whole piece of crap system.
Oh yeah, it's similar to that.
You play.
So unnecessary.
I actually did. It's interesting you guys mentioned that a lot of people didn't play MGO2. I played a good amount of it, not that much. I mentioned when we had Waylander on that I was huge into the first MGO on Systems because I thought it was the coolest shit on the block that you could start to play Metal Gear Solid Online. So I got the little adapter brick to attach to the back of your PS2 and hopped on there.
Yeah, I played some MGO1, but I was really young at the time, so I had my game time regulated by my parents. So MGO2, I went nuts.
Well, you Flash, were you big into MGO1 at all?
I wouldn't say I was big, but I did play it a lot because we had a PS2 in my flat. I was at uni. Just the novelty of plugging my little console into the internet and playing online was pretty mind-blowing at the time. Not so much online itself. I've been doing that for years, but the fact that a little PS2 Slim, which is the size of a DVD case, was playing Metal Gear of all things online, that really tickled me in a good way. So I spent a lot of time playing those, whatever the equivalent of those Snake missions, which were ludicrously unbalanced. Snake has to sneak into a base guarded by other players, grab a microfilm and then get out. But Snake has stealth camouflage, which works unlimited. So most people didn't have any idea what they're doing. There's hardly a community around it. So you can just run circles around these guys as invisible naked Snake, which is fun. And try to find an invisible Snake. And you just find groups of guys all just shooting at every movement and wiping each other out. And it was a clusterfuck and it was chaotic, but it was a lot of fun. And I think I mentioned in the last one, I've been getting destroyed in team matches.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the sneaky missions are cool.
So it's such a strange thing to do as well. Like, nobody was clamoring for a multiplayer MGS. To make that and do a pretty decent job of it was really out of left field.
Yeah, I agree. They did a really good job. Like, if you look at all the things that are like, you need them in your game now, in your multiplayer game, like having female soldiers. MGO did that way before everybody else. And small things like that, those little details made MGO like amazing. The game itself was flawed in many ways, in tons of ways, but I mean, those little details made it special.
And that's kind of interesting to me too. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, you say it's flawed. I mean, it's basically was Snake Eater with multiple people. Snake Eater wasn't designed to be played as a competitive headshot shooter.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's some charm into getting used to that.
Oh yeah, but, and a lot of skill. Like, I think MGO1 was much harder than MGO2, to be honest. That first-person view was ridiculous.
Yeah,
pretty much. You mentioned the fact that like MGO did the female soldiers way before everyone else. That's it's kind of interesting to me. If you look at like the whole series, or even most of the recent games, if you look at the whole thing, Kojima's actually been the first person to do like kind of a lot of stuff, and a lot of people don't really notice it, but I mean, like, we had Vamp, who was bisexual. Yeah. We had female soldiers that you could pick and choose. We have, probably isn't in the game, we've got the whole Chico is quiet conspiracy floating around that there's going to be a transgender in the game. Like, I don't really buy into it myself, but I guess the idea is there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, people like to get mad at the MGS series as a whole, what it does wrong, and yeah, it does do stuff wrong. There's things I don't agree with, but it also does things right, and I think it's unfair if you just put it out there that it's fault. It's faulty like every other game. You know what I mean? Like every other series.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it gets away with, a lot of the things it has done for the first time, or the boundaries that it pushes. It gets to ride this really sweet line of, and this is an ongoing discussion of how it's still pretty niche. Yeah. So it can kind of kick in a few corners and punch a few walls down, and nobody really notices, which is a double-edged sword, because pretty progressive stuff is happening in video games and Metal Gear Solid that nobody hears about. And then, 15 years later, Spec Ops: The Line comes out and everyone goes, oh my god, have you played this game that says war is bad? Some of the stuff that doesn't work, or some of the really progressive stuff, kind of slips under the radar, and then also some of the amazing stuff that does suffers the same fate. So I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, that's
Let's
true.
see if people are going to notice the child soldiers.
Yeah, I wonder. But even the media narrative now, like The Guardian has been doing a lot of writing on Metal Gear Solid, and they're taking quite a respectful stance. A lot of their writing is, hey, this Kojima guy he's an artist. They're talking about him like they would a film director or an author, and actually examining what he's saying. So it seems like there will be some voices of reason in mainstream media, and you'll get Fox News and whoever the latest Jack Thompson is going, you can't kill kids. But yeah, so it occupies a weird place where it can get away with a lot more than maybe it should.
Yeah, and partly it's because of Kojima, his reputation. He's like this huge icon in the industry, so he can do things that other people can't, and he does do them. And I applaud him for that, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, and he plays to that a little bit too. He's well aware of that status, and he doesn't abuse it.
Yeah, I agree.
I hope they actually push you like as far as it can go, like for a couple of reasons too. I mean, I want Phantom Pain to be as dark and serious and real as possible and raw, but I mean, that's a pretty serious issue. I mean, I feel like it's good to kind of bring that up to the limelight a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it's got some precedence. Like, we've hashed out this whole Coney 2012 thing, and I'll avoid all the jokes about that. But the fact is that was a massive worldwide social issue for a good, 4 days, that there are child soldiers in Africa. And it was a really big thing before a whole bunch of other stuff happened to it. So the precedent's kind of floating around there. And when people see little kids running around in southern Africa with AKs, it's not going to be a huge shock to the system, because it's kind of in the public consciousness, even slightly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in the zeitgeist, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's as long as he's not being dark and edgy for the sake of being dark and edgy, which I don't think it's ever really happened.
Nah, I don't think he puts stuff in there for just to be, just to have shock value. I think there's always a reason why things are the way they are in the games.
He'll take advantage of some things to also have a little poke or be a little shocking, but I don't think it's ever the only reason. Like, if this is an opportunity, he'll take it. But Vamp isn't a bisexual, so you go, oh my god, a bisexual. It's just kind of a passing reference. It's just character building. It explains why all these people are hanging out together.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Vamp and Fortune hang out because Vamp was banging Fortune's dad.
Something like that. Well, they're all in the same unit together, so hey, maybe they're just a really close unit.
Yeah,
Really close.
Really close, yeah.
And Fat Man never got invited to any of their parties.
He was always off drinking his wine by himself.
Yeah, he's his own party.
Yeah. He's got his party suit.
So, all right, MGO3. Do you have much in the way of expectation then, Stealth? From what you've seen, or
I try to keep them low, but I mean, I just want clans for sure. Like, these are things that I want for sure in, like, clans. I know I'm not going to get this, but like a progressive and declining level system, which I know it's not good to expect that because I've already seen the pre-order incentives and it's the XP boost, which wouldn't make any sense if there is a declining level system, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
but I mean, other than that, survival tournament or something that keeps the game alive, because that is really what kept MGO2 going after 2-3 years after release. That people kept logging in weekly to get the reward points, to be competitive, to practice against the best clans, to try to get better.
Yeah,
that's really what kept it alive.
Absolutely. I've seen a few people wonder about clans. To me, that seems like a no-brainer. Like, I don't think you make online games without the ability for clans these days without a good reason.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
I feel pretty safe expecting that. Maybe I'm not in tune, but it seems like it.
See, that's what I'm scared of, that we have to be cautious about the smallest things because we don't know anything. You know what I mean?
That's a great point. That's a great point, yeah. But I mean, even little things like, emblem design and all this customization, it seems to me pretty self-evident. But it's also strange that they can't even talk about it. For whatever reason that is, they can't even confirm. They're not even allowed to confirm that they have clans, which is so strange.
Yeah. I agree, man. That's why I don't know, I try to keep my expectations low, no matter how silly it may seem that there's no clan system in 2015 on an online multiplayer game. I mean, you never know. We have not seen anything.
I think they are going to keep at least supporting it community-wise. At least this is like the optimistic way I'm kind of looking at it, is that with Kojima gone and they are still going to pump out Metal Gear Solid games, is that they're definitely going to want it to be as supported and well-liked and in the limelight as possible. So I'm hoping against hope that they're really going to keep going with MGO3 to keep the series strong if they're going to keep these games going.
And they should, because a lot of people would play MGO right now. I mean, how many third-person online shooters are there right now that you can think of? I can think of a lot of FPSs, but there's not really any like third-person shooters for the new next gen or current gen, whatever you want to call it, out right now. And if they do it well, I mean, they could have 10 times the player base that they had last time. But they have to market it and they have to support it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Off the top of my head, if you count GTA under that, or whether that's just a
that's
simulator,
true,
or
possibly
Last of Us.
Yeah, you've got. I was just about to say Last of Us, but that's kind of also in its own kind of little category.
That's too. Like, I don't even count it as a third-person shooter. That's kind of its own thing. I don't even know. And yeah, GTA Online you can count, but I mean, how many people honestly go onto GTA Online to play only death matches, team death matches? You know what I mean? I'm sure there's quite a few, but I mean, it's not a dedicated third-person online shooter like MGO is.
Yeah, fair call.
Yeah.
How do you see the mechanics and the new mechanics that we know about playing into the online thing? Like, again, we don't know much. So, I mean, even wish lists or what you expect. Like in the video, we did see those SOP aiming lines, which psychs me up. That was a great part of MGO2. Yeah, anything like that?
Yeah, I agree. That's really cool. The SOP system was one of the best things about MGO2 because you wouldn't even have to have mics on to know, okay, my teammate is aiming here, or I'm getting aimed at by this person because I have this skill on. So it's really cool to see something similar to that return. But in terms of like mechanics, I don't know how they're gonna balance the sprinting. You know what I mean? It's way too fast. If it's the same as in single player, it's way too fast to try and like aim at someone when they're running. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and slow movement was a big part of MGO2 as well. Being in the right place and knowing where to go was important because it was much harder to correct your mistakes if you were in the wrong place.
Yeah. Like even if you had your running skill all the way up, which is the fastest movement speed, it still was pretty slow. You know what I mean? MGO2 had slow movement speed, so it would force you into having your positioning right, having good aim, playing intelligently. So I don't know how they're going to balance that out now that you can sprint across the whole map in like 2 seconds. So.
And snap your gun out for some pretty accurate aiming, at least
Exactly.
playing as Big Boss.
Yeah.
You can bust out of a sprint pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Or if you're like me, you can do everything and jump into a dive and aim when you're on the ground. But
Yeah, that's cool.
that'll be the new box popping, possibly.
Definitely, yeah.
I was about to say that too. I think that's going to be like
diving on the ground. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how the aiming is in TPP yet, but the aiming mechanics in GZ are kind of like wonky to me. They're a little clumsy, you know what I mean? They're a little slow compared to MGS4, and I don't know how I feel about that. I'd have to play the game.
I agree, and I think that's going to make MGO harder on the consoles for sure. I think I'm actually going to be doing most of my MGO on PC only for the keyboard and mouse, because I think you're right. I think, especially with everyone sprinting that fast, if that's how it is, it's going to be really hard to, you know, pull out a sniper rifle and headshot someone that's sprinting across the map.
Yeah, because they really book it, man. They go fast. If they run as fast as Snake, I mean, that's incredibly fast.
Yeah, it's an interesting little conundrum, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll see.
Because if you can move that fast, then what's the point of hiding? If you can go from A to B without being shot at.
Just make a serpentine pattern. I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I mean, we have to see gameplay. Maybe they toned it down. And the other thing that worries me is if there are these like set loadouts or like classes, if say like the Tranquilizer, the Infiltrator guy, let's call him, if he's even faster than Snake, because I don't know if you guys saw my review of the trailer, of the MGO trailer I did a while back, where I kind of compared, there's a scene where Snake is running at an angle, and one of his teammates is running by him, and at one point, I don't know if it's the camera work or if it's what I'm talking about, but like he seems to surpass him when he's running, like he can sprint faster.
He steps in front of him, doesn't he?
Yeah. So I mean, if someone's even faster than that, I have no idea how you can even get a shot off on someone like that, you know?
But at the end of the day, you can't enter combat and run. You've got to stop.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a small element of constraint around that. Like, you can't win a game by running around in circles.
Yeah.
But again, it's that repositioning thing. It makes it seem so much more dynamic, where instead of being very, very careful about your movement, suddenly some guy who fighting front on can just duck behind a trench, and suddenly he's flanking you because he just sprinted around the corner.
Exactly, yeah.
That's my biggest fear with MGO, is that it will turn into a run and gun scenario. That's not at all what I want. I want the team play and the base infiltration and the sneaking, but I think I know it's inevitable that there's going to be a lot of people that play like that.
That's the thing, though. MGO always kind of was that run and gun game. Like, a lot of people think that just because it's Metal Gear Online, that it's Metal Gear Online, you know what I mean? But it's not. At least MGO 2 wasn't. It was very much so a third-person shooter with some tactical operations, or whatever you want to call it, sprinkled in, you know what I mean?
I've been under that, I guess, if you say a misconclusion, but it's so much more than any other game.
Yeah.
Even if it's not all the way there, I think when that one time when being stealthy actually pays off, it's...
Oh, yeah. There's definitely elements to it, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's definitely not as crazy or as chaotic or as, like, action-centric as, like, a Call of Duty, as, like, a... You know what I mean? Those games. In my opinion, it always has been, like, this is Metal Gear Online, like, this is a shooting game, as opposed to the single-player, stealthy, slow experience that you're used to, you know what I mean? In my opinion. Because that's how I used to play, personally.
I got you. See, with this Go to Ground Zeroes, it can be a very fast-paced experience.
Yeah.
Even while sneaking. So, do you think there's much something interesting that could be done with that experience, but cranked up? You know, say that Metal Gear Online experience with that fast running. Do you think there's a, say, appropriately tuned online shooter that could be based around that incredibly fast movement, redeployment? Would that appeal to you? Do you think that could work?
I'd play it and I'd try it and I'd give it a chance, but I don't know. I just feel so spoiled by MGO2 because it was everything I wanted. It could work. If it's done right, yeah, it would work. I just don't see how it's supposed to be tactical and slow and stealthy and teamwork oriented, but also you can sprint like a bullet train. It doesn't make any sense to me.
They have said they're focusing on, you know, an action game. I was having a look at, somebody posted somewhere the jobs available in Konami, and even in the design level, they're talking about with a passion for shooters.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah, but like I think the biggest proof that something slower like that could work is The Last of Us Online. You know what I mean? They did that beautifully. Mm-hmm. That game is really well done.
Yeah, I actually had a lot of fun playing that online.
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome.
And I understand it's still going very well.
Yeah.
You can still find games and find teams, and they did a really nice little twist on it with that kind of campaign you've got going on by playing multiple games. Like, you've got your little camp that you're trying to protect.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, your survivors, like you have your own little and by how well you do, that's how many supplies you get, right? Or something along those lines.
Yeah, and little
Yeah.
bonus objectives and things like that. It's a nice little hook. I'm
that's cool.
surprised I haven't seen something like that before, especially because doesn't affect how well you do in game that much.
Yeah.
And it's got a time limit on it. You either survive for X amount of days or weeks or whatever, or you don't, and then you start a new band. It's not like some massive Oregon Trail that you've got to keep track of.
Yeah.
For
That was
sure.
a cool little idea. I think that game was done like beautifully. Like it transitioned from single player into multiplayer beautifully. Like, they did it really well.
Timer went off about 10 minutes
really?
ago. I don't know if you guys. Yeah, I don't know if you want to start moving towards wrap up or.
Wow, time does fly. Is there
Yeah,
anything
it
else
does.
you want to touch on, Steph?
Not really. It's up to you guys if there's anything else you guys want to talk about. But I don't want to keep you guys up too late or too early.
It's my weekend. I think I'm going to go back to racing when we're done. No, you know what? I'm going to sit down and edit some of this as soon as we're done, so that I'm not late next time.
Oh, I just want to say thank you to you guys, by the way. Yeah, I'm honored you guys had me here.
Oh,
No,
thanks
thank
for
you.
coming on.
Yeah, big fan of
That was
both
a
of you
blast.
guys and the podcast.
Right on. Thanks, man.
Cool. This has been a great yarn.
Yeah. All right.
All right,
well,
guys. Yeah. Stell, thanks for joining us. Folks,
Uh,
thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week or next week-ish for sure.
Sweet. All right.
Yeah.
See you guys later.
Have a good one, mate.
Thanks.